How's it going? We're back. Going to do a couple things today. We're going to transfer beer from my fermenter into a corny keg, and I'm going to show you guys the different fermenters that I use. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my keg I'm going to be transferring my beer to is good to go. By good to go, I mean sanitized, cleaned out, no leaks. I'm checking seals, just standard keg maintenance. Really not hard to do. You just need one wrench and a lot of brushes. OxiClean works great. That's what I use personally. OxiClean and Star San are one cheap, and they do the job. Yes, there's other brands out there. PBW is good, but I just always use Star San and OxiClean. So basically, every time you start transferring beer, you want to make sure your keg is clean and sanitized and ready to go. So for today's beer, I'm transferring a West Coast IPA into a standard 5-gallon bottle lock corny keg. You can get these things online pretty cheap. If you're spending more than $45 for a used one, you're getting ripped off. Even if they say they got new seals, new posts, new dip tubes, it doesn't matter. Anything over $45, you're getting ripped off. Quick little history lesson. These actually used to be old soda kegs. So your old fountains that you used to get your sodas from, these are what the syrup used to be in. These come from PepsiCo and both Coca-Cola. I think each brand had their own types of pins on them. I think Pepsi had the pin lock and Coke had the ball lock, or vice versa. I'm not too sure. But that's what these are. So the benefit of that is that we get them stupid cheap now because they've all gone to these crazy inkjet soda dispensing machines. So before I transfer, I got to get this thing sanitized. So pretty standard here. Just get yourself a bottle of Star San and a bucket. Mix up the ratio. It's 1 ounce per 5 gallons. Really basic. If you don't want to be spending all the money, just make yourself up a 2.5 gallon batch and you save a lot of stuff. Stuff's pretty cheap, but when you're using it every time you transfer beer, it's nice just to be able to get a nice ratio. Alright, so now that we've got the keg sanitized and ready to go, we are going to pull out the fermenter and get that ready for the transfer. Alright, from the last video we put this in my cold box here to cold crash. We dry hopped it a couple of days prior, and now we're going to transfer everything over. Alright, so my next step, after I sanitize the keg, I'm going to dump out the sanitizer. I'm going to use a extended CO2 line, and I'm going to purge this keg of oxygen utilizing my CO2 tanks inside on my manifold here. So in my main kegerator, I have a CO2 tank that has 2 regulators on it. One goes to the main manifold, which breaks off into 3 lines, and I have a longer line that goes to another keg, and that is about 10-12 feet long. I gotta have extra pressure on that line because the extra length, but I use that to force carb all my beers and also to prep the kegs for the transfer process, help purging all that air out of the keg. Next tip, having a spray bottle that has got Star San in it is a lot easier than lugging around a bucket full of Star San. So while I wait for the fermenter to drain into the keg, this is a really good time for me to transfer my Saison keg that just kicked the other day and get that thing cleaned out and on the ready rack. So next time I need a keg of beer, I got a keg ready to go. Now that the transfer is complete, I'm going to hook up my CO2 line to my inpost, and I'm going to purge all the oxygen that got into the keg, just ensuring that I have no oxygen in this keg. It is just strictly CO2 and beer. So I got a keg that kicked, and I know I'm going to have an extra tap open, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to force carb this keg right now, and so hopefully I'll be able to enjoy it for this weekend. So force carbonated keg is actually fairly simple. Like I said, I got my longer line up here. I'm going to crank the regulator up to about 20-30 psi, and you're just going to rock it back and forth about 4 minutes. Always remember, when you kick a beer, make sure you clean out the beer lines immediately. Clean out the keg, clean out everything else, because it makes your life a hell of a lot easier on the back end. So that's about the end of this video. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. But I know the end of the video kind of wrapped up really fast. I had a long day just trying to get it done. Just finished up by cleaning out the kegs, cleaning out the beer lines, and just cleaning out the fermenters. We're 90% janitors and 10% brew and beer. So I'll see you guys next video.